What up, y'all? Justin Gay, Seeds of Xanadu, out here in the shed. This is actually pretty cool, man. I can actually shoot out here at night. You know what I'm saying? So, cool. I might be able to give you guys a little bit more content now, seeing that I actually have a place that has light. There's an office in the house that I'm in the midst of kind of converting, I guess. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, I often hang out in my sheds for whatever reason. I like just kind of hanging out in them. So yeah, I might be doing a lot of stuff in here. Anyhow, what I wanted to bring you guys today were 7 tips / strategies on farmers market sales. Just different things that you could do to generate more sales at the farmers market. These are just some basic type strategies, to be honest with you. So if you're starting out, these are going to be great. If you're a seasoned vet, first of all, make sure to drop down below. Let me know what it is that you guys do, because these things really help me out a lot as well. I also think that a couple of these things are kind of cool to revisit. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I know I forget things, and I'll revisit them and be like, oh yeah, that works, and then I can kind of add it in a different way to what it is that I'm doing now. So I don't know, it's kind of cool sometimes to revisit them. Let's get into it. Number 1, always be welcoming. When you're at your booth, you always want to be cool with everybody that's passing by. Always smile. We hand out a lot of samples at our booth, right? So there's a lot of people that say no to us. That's just part of it. You know what I'm saying? Always be welcoming, no matter what. Always be welcoming. If people don't want to take your sample, that's cool. It's kind of just like, all right, you know, whatever. Keep it pushing, man. Also, too, you have to remember that there's going to be a certain amount of people that need to pass by. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to get those people that are going to just come back to your booth. You want to make friends with your customers. It's always a good place. That's my booth, right? So it's always good. So be welcoming, you know what I mean? Invite people in. Also, when you do invite people in, make sure that, you know, you have information ready to go. Either that's a leaflet or some type of card, a sample. A sample's always good when they're there, you know. It's always a great way to keep the subject matter on your produce. Getting to know people, be inviting, you know what I mean? Let people know that it's cool to be at your booth. I remember when I first started, dude, like what I would notice were a lot of people that were just, that looked like they could care less that they had a customer at their booth. And I see that just in random stores. You know what I mean? Just people that are not happy. Now, generally, yes, these are people that more than likely are employees of this company. And, you know, so, you know, you got to keep that in mind when you're hiring as well. You know what I'm saying? Don't just put a body in a market. You know what I'm saying? That body should be able to embody what it is that you're trying to push. I know for me personally, I like to make sure that my farmhands also are the people that run the booths at the farmers market, because now they have an intimate understanding on how things work. So when they're asked questions, they can answer from a very personal place. Whatever it is, those people are going to be able to connect with that person. Like Lily, you know what I'm saying? They'll be able to connect better with her. And that's what I want if she's going to be the person at that booth. I don't need them connecting with me. I want them connecting with her. And, you know, our booths do pretty well. I've made that a going trend pretty much from the beginning of Xanadu. There has been some exceptions. There's been a difference there too. So, you know, just kind of keep that in mind when you're hiring. Look for people that are going to help you out, you know what I'm saying, where you need them the most. I do feel like having a small plot, that kind of gives us an advantage. We are our sales force. So we're out there being able to just to talk to people, I mean, till we're blue in the face, or until they want to walk away about our product. You know what I mean? We can keep on going and going and going. It just doesn't stop. And I think that excitement that you generate because you do have the knowledge and because it is something that you want to share, dude, it just emanates into a person that's ready to receive it. And then, yeah, you now have a sale. Along with that, you know, do your best to remember names. Remember a little something that they're doing. If there's, you know, somebody gave you a story last week about what their husband's going to be doing next week, or their daughter's going to be doing next week, and you see their daughter, you know, ask them about that thing, you know, that trip or whatever it is that they did. These things kind of go a long way, even if those people aren't buying from you. Dude, I mean, yo, man, we're out there, we're connecting. At the end of the day, the farmers market to me is kind of a place where a lot of like-minded people can get together. You know what I'm saying? So you might as well kind of have fun out there, because that doesn't get to happen too often, you know? Dude, mad spiders in here. It's warm in here, so a lot of insects are starting to get in here. So it's kind of cool that the spiders are in here. I'll leave them in here for a little while, see what they catch. And if I don't see they're catching much, then we'll go ahead and get rid of them. But they won't go, I'm not gonna let them go overboard either. Heck no, man, spiders. I love you guys, but still, no. What were we talking about? Another thing that's very important too is sitting. I'm sitting now because I'm not at the farmer's market. But if I'm at the farmer's market, I definitely want to be standing. I'm not exactly sure as to what it is, but people are way more attracted to the person that is standing up. It's more engaging. I'm often now, because I am standing, I'm looking over my booth all the time, and I'm ready to change things all the time. So I'm constantly changing stuff. I'm constantly moving around. You know, I remember when I used to work in the supermarket, they used to always say never be sitting still. And I think there's a reason behind that. It just, your energy, right? You don't want to be looking busy for no reason. You know, everything for you're doing everything for a reason. But that busyness, you know, it just gives you energy, and people respond to that. Yeah, people respond to it. So don't sit. There's a couple things that I've been using lately. The anti-fatigue mats. Ooh, if you ain't on those, dude, get on them. Really cheap. You can get them at Harbor Freight Tools for like $8.99. Dude, yeah, get those. Yoga mats. I used to have this one guy that was next to me that had this bracelet that he said grounded him to the earth, and he said it worked really well. If you're into it, dude, do that. So make sure you have good shoes, all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, those anti-fatigue mats, dude, yeah, very, very good. For two, kind of talked about a little bit already, that's sampling. Sampling is a really cool way, like I was kind of getting at before, to be able to strike up a conversation about your product, right? You kind of want to keep your conversation on your product. You're going to probably get asked, at least I know I do, the same questions over and over again. That's when you kind of know to start putting up signs, and we'll get into signs a little bit later. Sampling for the longest time is how I held down the Seeds of Xanadu. I had no signs. I didn't want to clutter up my booth, you know? I felt that, because everybody was like, oh, you should have like the information and this and that on them. And it was like, oh, whenever I seen that, it just didn't sit well with me. I didn't like the way it flowed. In those booths, it worked. For mine, not so much. Yeah, I didn't do that. Until recently, I started putting more signs out there. And basically what I'm doing is just finding these little easels, chalkboards. You can find them fairly cheap. At least I found the ones I'm using fairly cheap. I would show you mine right now, but actually I think I might be able to I might find a picture of one. The ones I have right now, they need to get redone. We had a bit of a rainstorm at the end of the market. We have to get those hooked up a little bit. But yeah, if you do have to spend a little bit of money to get these things done right, I'm lucky I have a person that's very talented that will write out my signs for free. I'm trying to get her to start charging other people to do them because she's really good at it. Samples, man. For me, I'm constantly refreshing. I'm constantly, you know, renewing. It's just driving into me a lot of facts about what's going on in my microgreens. Because me being able to share the information that I'm able to share, people now share information back with me that I didn't know about microgreens, or things that I can go look up. They also are giving me tons of ideas on different plants. I get plants. It's amazing. So yeah, I think sampling is a really good way. You know, like I mean, I even have a whole video about sampling down below. Be giving samples because people are watching and they're going to be attracted to you. It's always something, man. So keep that in mind. Number 3, we were kind of talking about it before, signs. Very important. I've talked about this a little bit in other videos as well. People learn different ways. You know what I mean? Some people learn by visually, people learn audibly, and people learn by reading. And like I said before, I think everybody learns by just doing stuff. Maybe. It may take some people a couple more times to do the same thing over and over again, and one other person might just take them one time and they get it. Who knows? But I do feel like eventually it kind of clicks in the more you do stuff. Reading. We serve a lot of teachers in farmers markets. I don't know what it is. It's because they're smart, dude. Because teachers seem to make up a lot of our clientele. Teachers are reading. They're readers, or at least I would think most teachers are readers. So yeah, signs work out pretty damn well. People are just they're just constantly coming. Just for having a couple little signs, dude. You want to have 3 things. You want to have what it is, of course, the amount, and the price. Yeah, signs, dude. You know, the better the sign, of course, make it legible. You know, I stay away from kind of crazy cursive. You guys know all this, man. Just make it legible, make it big. A lot of people will go down the road of labels. To be 100 with you, sure. I mean, if you have your contact information on them, you definitely want to do that. Your Instagram, all that kind of stuff, you want to have that on them. Whatever, you know, your email, that kind of stuff. If they have any questions or concerns, you know, that might be something that I start adding on my labels too, you know. At the end of the day, I think that will make me even better to get me where I want to go with this whole thing. So it's good to talk about stuff. Number 4, your display. I did a gang of Google searches for my display. And you know what? I still do Google searches for displays, dude. This could actually even be its own video, to be honest with you, just the displays of a farmer's market. Maybe we will get into that one of these days because there's just, I mean, there's reverse horseshoes, there's horseshoes, you know what I mean? There's the aisles, you know, there's so many different things that you can do in terms of setting up your display. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do to make your display or your overall aesthetic what it is that you want. And I think that actually goes into your whole display. You know what I'm saying? What I think is really important too is to have a theme. You know, my theme is we bring my garden to you. Simple and plain. We're bringing the garden to you. So I do my best to bring as much living stuff to the market, hence the trays. Number 5, never forget, most people that are coming to the farmer's market, most people know that they are there to spend money. Very important tip. Very important trick. One thing that I always look for every market, especially if a person is coming to my booth, do they have a bag in their hand? It doesn't necessarily mean that if they don't have a bag in their hand, that they're not going to buy anything from me. But if they have a bag in their hand, these people came to spend. They came to purchase food, and you happen to have some. So now, you know, there you go. What I'm getting at with all that is that never be afraid to ask your price. You know what I'm saying? Whatever your price is, ask it. Let the market speak. You know, I've heard time and time again, I remember the first time I heard it was from Connor Crickmore, and that was, if people aren't saying, at least, you know what I'm saying, if a couple people aren't saying that, yo, your product is too expensive, then, you know, you more than likely need to raise the price. I've kind of played around with that even just this last week. You know, we now are starting to offer a couple different variations more often of our market mix. And now we're starting to do one just with chive, you know, and they're doing really well. It's always been one that's done really well. But now I'm asking $1 extra, same weight, but we've added chives to it. So, you know, let's see how that works. Last week we did actually pretty well. Some of the markets did better than others, so, you know, kind of playing around with it. But nevertheless, it is a good move. I think it's very important. Never underestimate the importance of your value and what it is that you yourself are bringing to the market. What you know, resiliency, all that shit shines through, y'all. Just bring it all to the market. Never be afraid to bring that to the market, who you are. I'm starting to see all these newer farmers pop up on the scene and showing their customers, you know what I mean? And I'm showing my customers, and it's pretty just dope just to see, like, hey, man, everybody's kind of just, we all kind of out here just doing our thing. It's dope. So never be afraid. Just keep on pushing out there. Number 6, always be consistent. Consistency, consistency, consistency. That is key. Best kind of customer is repeat customer, as far as I can tell. Those are my favorite ones, the ones that come back, right? Because those are the ones that ultimately are supporting you, if you will. You know what I mean? Or at least supporting you at that market. And then overall, supporting you. So you always want to be consistent with at least your staples. You can change things out. You know what I'm saying? Not that I'm a big fan or anything, but look at McDonald's and the McRib, right? Why do they have it and then they take it away, have it and then they take it away? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different places that have things, they take them away. There's not a problem with doing that. But, you know, make sure you have your staples, and then when you start hearing your crowd talk about they want a certain thing, then you bring it back. Hence why I've bought back our chives, because a lot of people have been hitting me up. And so now I'm like, you know what? This has happened before. I bought them back. Nobody bought them. So now let me just start with them inside of the market mix and see if we can begin a better kind of chatter about them, if you will, that they're back. And then also too, man, remember, your repeat customers, the reason they're repeating are because now your staples have become their staples. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you always want to make sure that you have something there for them. You know, and a lot of times too, man, your repeat customers, you'll find them coming back even if you don't have that one thing that they always want, like broccoli or sunflower, whatever it is, man. You never know. Even if you're in an indoor environment, dude, you get mold and things go down. We're dealing with nature, y'all. It's just gonna happen. Don't beat yourself up if you do get a nasty outbreak of mold. I mean, the shit happens. It happens to everybody. Like I said, it is nature. The shit is going to happen. They most of the time they are understanding, and I think even more so, in a way, they are even more appreciative of your honesty. Number 7. All right, y'all. So you see how pretty much it's sold out. What I want to do now is just tear down those 2 tables that don't have anything on there to make it look like I have more than what I actually have. So peep game, here we go. Now it kind of looks like I just came that way, you know what I'm saying? Abundance, keep your booth looking full, very important. And you just look like that. When you look like that, there ain't much you could do, homie, but say thank you and keep it pushing. Hey. And then the bonus one, number 8, man. Number 8. Remember, not all farmers markets are going to be created equal, y'all. A lot of people, especially if you're living in Southern California, we got a lot of farmers markets out here. You know what I'm saying? A lot of really, really dope farmers markets out there. There's a lot of not dope farmers markets out there as well. What I mean by that is that they're young. They need time to generate that clientele. Most of your older farmers markets are 8 years plus because they've been consistent and now people can rely on them to be there. So that's why it's so critical, I believe, when they move. We'll get into all that kind of stuff in another video. What I'm getting at with that is that if you are starting a newer market, chances are you're going to have to be there and staying consistent for a while to start generating a buzz about yourself. And then eventually you may even be a big reason as to what is drawing people into that market. That's one of those things that you just have to make up in your mind if you're going to be at some of the slower markets. Or, you know, you just understand that you're just there for a little bit of time. You're getting your feet wet, you know, you're starting to understand how to work a farmer's market. Nothing wrong with that either. I did a lot of really small farmer's markets at the beginning. I stuck with my good farmers markets and then started turning them into better farmers markets. Got hit, coming back. So, you know, remember, farmers market is a market, it's a market, it's a market. It is always generated on emotion because it is, for the most part, powered by human beings. So always kind of keep that in mind. Just like all markets, there's ebbs and there's flows. So, you know, stick with it, hang in there. If it's a slow market, you know, see if, you never know what can come out of that. If you're aligned with it, if you're cool with it. If you're not, then, you know, hey, you got to bounce. Well, anyway, guys, I hope this video helps put a little bit of extra coin in your pocket. Like I said, dude, I go through a lot of these throughout the week. I don't keep them in my head all the time, but it is good, I believe, to try to revisit a lot of these things, man. And then especially if you're brand new, you know, a lot of these, I believe, are really good places to look at least when you're starting. Scour YouTube, there's a gang of different really good videos about this, you know, put your best ones together and then kind of just make a checklist of principles, or not necessarily principles, but just, yeah, I guess base strategies and techniques and principles that you do at your farmer's market so it helps you out. And then you can kind of start generating a little bit of a system for your markets themselves. I'm just Signage, this is C to Xanadu, dude, out here in the shed, loving it, it's lit. Literally, a peace out.